Okay, I need a moment with this one because what just came through as I was sitting down to read for Virgo today is not something I can simply organize and deliver in the usual way. What arrived when I opened this energy was immediate and complete and carried with it a quality that I have learned after all my time doing this work to recognize as something that belongs to a completely different category from an ordinary reading. This is not an ordinary connection, and both of you know it. That is the part that Spirit is most insistent about getting to you right now. Not just that you know it, not just that they know it, that you both know it simultaneously. That there is a shared awareness, unspoken perhaps, unnamed certainly, but real and present and sitting in the space between you like something that has been acknowledged without words, that what exists between you and this specific person is operating at a frequency that neither of you has encountered in this form before. And what happens next because of that shared knowing is the reason I almost had to sit down before I pressed record. Stay with me, Virgo. This reading goes somewhere that I genuinely did not expect when I began to open this energy, and the unexpected quality of it is itself part of what makes it so significant. Let me begin by describing what it felt like when this came through, because the texture of the message is part of its meaning. What arrived was not a feeling, not an impression, not the gradual gathering of energetic information that usually characterizes the beginning of a reading. What arrived was a recognition, a specific full body, unmistakable quality of encountering something true, the way truth lands differently from information, the way it settles rather than just arriving, the way it does not require verification because the quality of it contains its own confirmation. And the truth that settled in me the moment I opened your energy today is this: what you have with this person is rare. Not the word rare used as a superlative to make something sound more impressive than it is. Rare in the technical, actual, this does not occur with frequency sense of the word. The kind of rare that makes people who encounter it stop and question their own understanding of what connection actually is. The kind of rare that, once experienced, makes everything that came before it look like a preliminary sketch rather than the finished thing. I want to speak to what makes this connection specifically not normal, because I think naming it with precision is important. Because both of you deserve to understand what you are actually standing in the middle of, even if, especially if, the full weight of it has not yet been completely articulated between you. The first thing that makes this not normal is the quality of recognition that exists between you. And I am using that word in its most specific sense, not recognition in the sense of knowing each other or being familiar with each other. Recognition in the deeper, more unsettling sense of encountering someone and having some part of you that operates below the level of conscious thought register them as known, as significant. As someone whose presence in your life is not accidental and whose effect on you is not something that can be fully explained by the ordinary mechanics of human attraction and chemistry, this recognition was present from early in your connection, perhaps from the very beginning. A quality of this is different that arrived before you had sufficient evidence to justify it. Before the relationship had developed enough to account for the intensity of what you were feeling, before any reasonable person could have explained why this particular person, out of all the people you encounter, was affecting you this way. It arrived anyway, fully, without waiting for permission or justification. And on their side, the same thing was happening, the same recognition, the same "this is different" quality of their experience of you, the same unreasonable, unjustifiable intensity arriving before the ordinary accumulation of shared time and shared experience would have produced it. You both felt it. You both knew. From something close to the beginning, Spirit is getting very specific about the second thing that makes this connection not normal, and I want to receive this carefully. The way you see each other. This is the piece that came through with the most force and the most clarity, and I want to honor it with the full attention it deserves. Most connections operate through filters, through the layers of projection and expectation and the various stories we bring to our experience of other people that color what we actually see when we look at them. We see, more often than we realize, the version of a person that our own interior landscape has assembled, rather than the person themselves in their actual complexity and their actual reality. What you and this person do when you look at each other is different. The filters are thinner, the projection is less. What you see when you look at them is closer to who they actually are than what most people see when they look at another person. And what they see when they look at you is closer to who you actually are than what most people see when they look at you. This mutual seeing, this quality of being genuinely perceived by another person rather than simply received through their filters, is one of the rarest things in human connection. And both of you have it with each other. Not perfectly, not without the ordinary human limitations that affect everyone's perception, but to a degree that exceeds what either of you has experienced in other connections. That is why the knowing, the shared awareness that this is not normal exists, because you can see each other clearly enough to recognize what is there. I want to speak to something about the timing of this reading, because the title says you both know it now, and that now is specific. Something has shifted recently in the shared awareness of this connection. Something that has brought the knowing from the implicit to something closer to explicit, from the unspoken background of your interactions to something that is increasingly difficult to continue not addressing directly. What created this shift is different for different people watching this reading. For some of you, it was a conversation that went somewhere neither of you planned for it to go, a moment of unexpected honesty that revealed more of what is present beneath the surface than either of you had previously allowed into the open. For others, it was a shared experience, something you went through together or adjacent to each other that demonstrated in real time the specific quality of what exists between you and made continuing to treat it as ordinary impossible. For some of you, it was something as simple as a look, a moment of eye contact that lasted longer than casual and that carried in it the full weight of the unspoken, of everything that has been building without being named, making itself felt with such completeness that both of you understood simultaneously that something had just been acknowledged between you without a single word being exchanged. Whatever it was, the shift has happened. The now of both knowing is here. And what comes next, because of that shared knowing, is what the remainder of this reading is about. Does this feel like it is landing somewhere real for you, Virgo? Is there a specific person whose connection with you has had this quality of recognition and mutual seeing that I am describing? A connection that you have sensed operating at a different frequency from your other relationships without always having language for why? Let me know in the comments. I want to know how this is resonating with your actual experience. Let me speak now to what happens next, because this is the part of the reading that Spirit was most urgent about, and I want to deliver it with the full care it deserves. Something is going to be said, or something is going to be done, or both, in the near term, in a window that has the quality of soon rather than eventually. Something that moves what has been existing in the shared knowing of both of you, from the interior to the exterior, from the unspoken to the spoken, from the acknowledged without words to the acknowledged with them. And when this happens, when the thing that both of you have known is finally given direct expression, the effect is going to be exactly what the title of this reading describes. It is going to change everything. Not in the sense of making things unrecognizable, in the sense of making things more fully themselves than they have been while the knowing was still operating only in the unspoken space between you. The change is not the introduction of something foreign. It is the full arrival of something that has always been present but that has been operating below the surface, creating its effects without yet having been fully brought into the light. When it is brought into the light, everything changes. Not because the substance of the connection changes, because the consciousness of the connection changes. Because both of you are now operating with full awareness of what is there rather than with partial awareness that has been creating the specific, slightly suspended quality of something that is real but not yet fully acknowledged. I want to describe what the speaking or the doing is going to feel like, because I think knowing the emotional texture of it helps you be present for it rather than being so surprised by it that you miss the full experience of it arriving. It is going to feel inevitable. That is the first and most important thing. When the thing that both of you have known is finally given its direct expression, the dominant feeling is not going to be surprise. It is going to be the specific, profound, finally quality of something arriving that was always going to arrive, that was always on its way. That the entire dynamic of this connection has been building towards since the moment the recognition first happened. It is going to feel like the resolution of a held breath, like the exhale after a long period of breathing carefully, like something that has been held in suspension, finding the ground it was always seeking. And alongside that sense of inevitability, something more tender, a vulnerability that belongs to both of you simultaneously. The specific equal, we are both in this quality of a moment where neither person holds more of the exposure than the other, where the risk and the hope and the genuine not knowing exactly how this lands are shared equally between you. That equality is actually part of what makes this not normal. Most significant moments in connection involve some degree of asymmetry. One person more exposed than the other, one person further along in their certainty than the other. What is approaching between you has the rare quality of both of you arriving at the threshold at the same time, together, with the shared knowing that you are both stepping into something simultaneously. Inhale with me, Virgo. I want to speak to something about what this connection asks of you specifically, because rare things ask more of us than ordinary things. And I think it is important to name what is being asked rather than simply describing what is arriving. What this connection asks of you is full presence, the genuine, unmanaged, I am actually here quality of presence rather than the partially present version of yourself that has learned through experience to hold something back as protection. The version that is thoughtful about what it reveals and when, that carefully manages its own exposure, that has developed the specific Virgo habit of observing before fully participating. That version of you has served you. It has been wise in many contexts. But this connection, with this specific person at this specific threshold moment where both of you are arriving together at the acknowledgement of what is real between you, is asking for the other version, the fully present one, the one that steps into what is real without the protective buffer of measured disclosure. This is scary. I want to acknowledge that without minimizing it. Being fully present with another person in the moment of something this significant is genuinely vulnerable. And vulnerability, however much we understand its value intellectually, is not comfortable in the moment of actually experiencing it. But Spirit is being very clear. The full presence is not optional in this situation. It is required, not by some external rule, but by the nature of what the connection itself is. A connection that operates at this level of recognition and mutual seeing simply cannot be honored through anything less than full presence. It is too real for performance, too genuine for management, too significant for the carefully measured version of yourself that is adequate for ordinary connections. This moment is asking for all of you, and all of you is exactly what it deserves. Let me speak to something that came through very specifically about what this connection is going to produce in your life beyond the relational dimension, because I feel it clearly and I think it matters. The arrival of a genuine, rare, not normal connection in someone's life does not stay contained to the relational dimension. It radiates. It changes the quality of everything it touches. Not through any mystical mechanism, but through the simple, real, completely human process of what happens when something significant shifts in the center of someone's experience. You are going to be different in the wake of this connection becoming fully itself. Not dramatically different in ways that the people around you would immediately identify, but different in the way that matters most. In the quality of how you inhabit your own life, in the specific ease of being yourself that comes when you are genuinely known and genuinely received by someone who sees you clearly. That ease, that quality of being fully yourself because someone has seen fully who you are and has chosen that, radiates outward into everything, into how you show up at work, into the creativity and the depth you bring to your various projects and pursuits, into the quality of your other relationships, into the simple, ordinary daily experience of moving through your own life. A genuine connection at this level does not just add something to your life, it changes the conditions under which everything else in your life occurs. And those changed conditions produce a version of your daily experience that is qualitatively different from what existed before the connection was fully itself. That is the everything that changes, not just the relationship, everything. As I bring this reading toward its close, I want to leave you with the thing that I feel is most essential to carry from everything that came through today. You are in something rare, not rare in the way we sometimes use that word as a compliment without full meaning attached to it. Rare in the actual technical, this does not happen often and you are in the middle of it sense. The kind of connection that people write about and make films about and spend their lives hoping to encounter. The kind that when you are standing inside it can be almost impossible to fully register as what it is because your frame of reference for what connection usually looks like makes this seem almost implausibly good. It is not implausible. It is real. And both of you knowing it is real simultaneously at this threshold moment is itself one of the most significant things that has happened in your recent experience, even if you have not fully named it as such until this reading. What happens next is the full arrival of something that has been present from the beginning, the spoken acknowledgement of the shared knowing, the bringing into direct expression of everything that has been operating in the beautiful, charged, electric space of the unspoken. And when that expression happens, everything changes. Not away from what you have been, toward what you have always been at your fullest, toward the version of your life that has this real, rare, extraordinary connection at its center. You have been building toward this, both of you, without always knowing that was what you were doing. You have arrived. If this reading moves something in you today, please share it with a Virgo who needs to feel this energy, and leave me a comment below. Tell me how this landed. Tell me if you recognize this connection the moment I started describing it. Tell me what it feels like to have the not normal quality of what you have been experiencing confirmed and named and given the full weight it deserves. I read every single word you share. Every story matters to me deeply, and I carry your energy with genuine care long after this video ends. Until next time, Virgo, this is not a normal connection. You both know it, and everything that comes next is going to reflect that knowing fully, completely, beautifully.